Hello, hello. It is Karen Locke Culp here of WeTurnedOutOK.com and the We Turned Out Okay podcast. I wanted to bring you, this is actually the first of what I'm hoping will be like a lot of weeks of this, where on a Monday, I bring you my weekly intentions, and then on a Friday, I tell you how I did with them. So the first thing I want to say is if you can be here live, that's awesome. And I want you to post your positives, is how I'm thinking of them, in the chat. So I think we can always look at the negatives. Like, humans are really good at finding the negative and worrying about it. And I'm no exception. I've been in therapy for 5.5, almost 6 years now. So very good at finding the negative, but getting better at finding the positive. So if you have had anything positive happen to you this week, I would love to hear about it in the chat. If you are a Ninja Parenting community member, I just created a post in our community, which is about weekly intentions and how we did with them. And so you can also post your weekly intentions there. I wonder if I can do this. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try and post that right into the chat. We'll see how we do with that. We'll see if that makes any difference if, after people are, oh, there we go. That's how I would do that. Okay, so that's how Ninja Parenting community members can tell us. Otherwise, if you're here live, just jump into the chat and let us know how was your week. What's one positive thing that happened this week? And I'm going to get more into that because part of what I discovered is I've been feeling guilty about having any positives and feeling positive, and I don't want that anymore. So first I wanted to tell you about my week. Earlier on Monday, this past Monday, I shared that I had 3 goals. The first one was to have one coronavirus-free news day. The second one was to make 3 sort of main meal of the days from scratch. For us, that's been lunch, not so much dinner. And then I also wanted to kick off OKCon 2020, the free virtual summit that I'm doing. You can find out about that at okcon.com. And those were my intentions, and I did them. They were each of them. I was able to be successful with each of them. So our coronavirus-free news day was yesterday, Thursday, and today we're back into it. We understand, Ben and I, my husband Ben and I, both recognize we've got to know what is happening. I mean, there are things are happening quickly. Things are happening across the world. Things are happening in our neighborhood. We have to, as much as we try to avoid being sort of dragged down by all of the news that we can't do anything about, we are recognizing that this is a time where we need to be even more informed than usual. But to have one day of the week where we weren't doing that felt amazing, and I would highly recommend it. We chose Thursday because at the beginning of the week, there's going to be a lot of sort of new initiatives and new things to talk about. At the end of the week, our thinking is anyway that, like, if somebody's going to make an important announcement that's going to take effect over the weekend or that's for the upcoming week, they would probably do that on a Friday. So that was our reasoning anyway. You can pick any day of the week you want. I did make 3 main meals, and I've got another one in the works over the weekend. So I made beef stew. I made a chickpea and rice soup that was amazing. And I did make barbecue wings. Actually, with that one, I did have help. So I got the chicken wings kind of ready, and then Ben took them out to the barbecue and grilled them. So it wasn't just me for that one. And then the third thing I wanted to do was kick off OKCon 2020. And I really was so happy to bring you our presenters from this past week. So they were Janine Halloran, licensed mental health counselor and expert in teaching kids coping skills and play, and how play can be what kids need, to get them through tough times. And the other presenter was Dr. Heather McGuire. She's an expert in children's behavior. And so she had a lot to say about how to get the best behavior possible from kids, given that we are all living in these really kind of straitened circumstances and we're all stuck at home and stuff like that. I've been trying to think of it as happy at home, not stuck at home. So every time I think stuck at home, I try to put like those little lines, those little dashed lines that you can put through a word on a computer. So in my mind, I think stuck at home, but then I try to think happy at home. maybe that's wishful thinking, but I'm trying to think of it that way anyway. So I wanted to share with you, the next thing I wanted to do, every Friday, I want to share with you my weekly assessment, what's called a weekly assessment. So it is right here. And I was taught how to do a weekly assessment by a wonderful writing coach. Well, not writing coach so much as like person who helps people. I've heard of him as a Sherpa for authors and creative people. And that's definitely how he has helped me. His name is Dan Blank. He runs wegrowmedia.com is the name of his website. I took his Creative Shift Mastermind and still love listening to his Creative Shift podcast. And every week that you're in the mastermind, and every week after I've been out of the mastermind now, so I took it in the first quarter of 2019. So every single week, with the exception of the last few weeks, honestly, because we were in Colorado, and then came home to the major coronavirus stuff, and there was just a lot of chaos. But I am back to them. They're one of the most important things that I do all week, and I wanted to share them with you for that reason. And Dan gave me permission, so thank you very much, Dan, if you're watching. It's an assessment that starts with the words, I am celebrating that I, which is, maybe not how we would think of an assessment beginning. And I think it's so important to really look at that. Just the simple words, I am celebrating that I, puts the whole focus on what's been good about this week. And that's how I love that. I love this assessment because it starts off that way. So this week I'm celebrating that, we're back into the first quarter. We're into a new quarter. And for me, what that means is I am going back to what Dan calls the well, actually. I'm going back to like, what do I create? Why do I create it? What are my goals? How am I achieving them? And so for this quarter, my goals have completely shifted from, like, I had wanted to be doing some publishing. I've got some books published, right? But I wanted to try and get them into audio, for example, or I wanted to do some other things with them. And I'm recognizing that that has to take a back burner right now. The most important thing that I am doing is supporting you and supporting my family and being supported in turn. Like, so a lot of I have these things called clarity cards that we work through in the mastermind. And mine have a lot to do right now with working towards my goals. They're up there, which I'm looking up there, working towards my goals in a sustainable way, which means like last week I got Zoom called out and I still had like 4 Zoom calls to go. Like, it's just with friends, with family, with you, you know what I mean? And I realized, as much as I love doing that and being there for everyone, I need to have fewer Zoom calls in my life. So this week I've really worked on that. That's about being sustainable, getting good rest, getting good sleep, getting nutrition. So this week I allowed a giant jar of Nutella into my home, and for the most part, I was able to avoid it, but there were definitely some notable times where I did not avoid the jar of Nutella. And so going forward, so the next thing that one of the things that I talk about here is I'm celebrating that I have realized I need to rein in the sweets. My plan is that next week I'll be celebrating that I have done that. So I paid far more attention to keeping the work that I do sustainable for me. Like, these are the things that I'm celebrating. I learned this lesson is the next part of this. So first you get, I'm celebrating that I did these things. And then the next part of this is, I learned this lesson. So the lesson that I learned is, not only must I not feel guilty for enjoying the small moments as they come, it is enjoying those moments that will get me through everything else. That was a huge lesson for me to learn this week. And I had mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk about that. So the next part of this is, I had this inspired moment, the next part of the assessment, right? I'm celebrating that I ... I learned this lesson. So for me, the lesson was about not feeling guilty about enjoying small moments, a laugh, a pretty view, a good oatmeal cookie, some of Nutella, some Nutella. The third part of this is, I had this inspired moment. And it was listening to Mark McGuinness, podcaster I absolutely love. He's created the 21st Century Creative podcast. He's been on my show. I can't remember the number. I think it might be 164, but I will link to it in the show notes. Um, listening to Mark McGuinness read a poem about a thrush by Thomas Hardy. So the poem was written at the turn of the 18th century to the 1800s to 1900s. And I will link to that in these notes as well. It's how I understood the lesson that I wrote about above. So just to spend a moment or two on this. I had been feeling very guilty every time I was enjoying something and forgot for a moment about all of the anxiety and fear that is just oppressing us all. And I had read Mark McGuinness sends out, I'm on his email list. So he sent out an email basically saying, we in England are now under a 3-week, we must stay indoors. Like it's an order to stay inside. It is police enforced. I mean, I just was shocked to hear that. I didn't realize that they were doing that. And so that just, my heart went out to Mark and his family. He's got 2 young kids. They love their walks, they love their nature. And I just couldn't imagine where I live. We also love our walks and we love our nature. And we are not under that kind of order, at least not yet. And my heart, as I say, went out to Mark McGuinness. So this week he sent out an email called something like "A Poem for You If You Need Hope," something like that. And he reads this poem called "The Darkling Thrush" by Thomas Hardy. And as Mark McGuinness reads this poem, I start crying, which this is the very first time that a poem that was not a piece of music, had made me cry. I've always sort of dismissed poetry as something that really wasn't relevant to me. And I'm listening to this and I'm just crying because here is, and I might do it now too. Here is a poem about an old bird, an old thrush, on a grim winter's day. And the author is watching this group of thrushes sort of take off and fly and be joyful and chirpy, and they're all young, and so that's kind of, he reasons it sounds like anyway, that's why they are doing that. And then he sees this elder thrush kind of struggle his way up from the ground and sing a joyful song, and he's got to work to do it. Like there's an effort involved. And in that moment, the author realizes that this thrush knows more than I do. The author, this thrush knows more than me, because he is struggling against the oppression and the sadness, and he is singing out his song. And it made me realize, you know what, I need to do that too. Like, not only do I need to sing out my song, but I need to not feel bad at enjoying things. It's how I'm going to get through this. It's how I'm going to be able to support the people that I love, and that includes you. And it's how I am going to be able to get through this myself. So it really was an inspired moment. It's rare that an inspired moment for me involves, folding laundry and crying. So I'm doing it, but that's what happened this week. So I did have that inspired moment. And then there's a part about, on a scale of 1 to 10, you rate about how you feel about your cave trolls. So cave trolls are in the mastermind, in the Creative Shift mastermind. This is how we define the things that might hold us back. So one of my cave trolls is generalized anxiety. That one has been talking a lot lately, as you can imagine. Another one of my cave trolls is overwhelm. If I do too much and feel like I can't take any steps. And so, so you rate how you feel about your cave trolls. You rate if you did the quote the work, so whatever work you set out for yourself, and then you rate how much progress you feel like you have made in this week. And work and progress are different things, and I love that Dan thinks of it that way. So I did not have almost any kick or talk back, chatter from my cave trolls this week. So I gave myself a 9 out of 10. The cave trolls were not bothering me this week, which is making me very happy. They've taken a backseat this week. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate if I did the work. I wrote 10. Yes, I did the work this week. That's a rare week when I can say, I am done. I did the work. This that I'm doing now is one of the last things I'm going to do. I'm excited and I have a plan for the very last few things I'm doing this week. So I'm feeling really good about that. I did the work this week. On a scale of 1 to 10, I feel like I've made this much progress. And what I wrote was 8. 8 out of 10. I feel much better about this week's progress than I did last week. I love having a positive direction to work toward, and I felt super supported, which consequently helped me be a support. During this double pandemic, which the first you got the COVID-19 and then you've got the fear, I've really been thinking of it this way, it's a double pandemic. During this double pandemic, that is true progress. And so that's my assessment for the week. I really feel like it's been a good week for that reason. And so I want to say again a special thank you to Dan Blank for allowing me. I got in touch with him to say, can I share my assessment? I'm going to do this every week. So every Monday I'm going to share my intentions, and every Friday I'm going to share, God willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going to share my assessment. And I'm also asking you the question, how did you do this week? I would love to hear about that. If you're here live, type it in. If you are, and if you come to any of these future ones, type into the chat. Like, what are your positives? How did this week go for you? What are you celebrating? And if you are an Ninja Parenting community member, I'm going to be in NPC. I'm going to have a new post every week. So this one is called Weekly Intentions and How We Did with Them, first week of April 2020. Next week there'll be another one. So post your intentions for the week and your how you did this week in there. We would love to support each other in this way. And I wanted to give you a preview of what's coming up for OKCon 2020. I'm very excited. Next week we have two fabulous guests. One is Andy Murphy. He is The Secure Dad is his website, thesecuredad.com. He's written a book called The Secure Dad, and he's going to give us on Monday, this coming Monday, which I think is maybe the 6th or 7th of April. It'll be this coming Monday anyway. He is giving us a summary, a conversation about how to keep home and family safe right now during this double pandemic. And then on Wednesday, I have got a wonderful guest, former podcast guest, Audrey Monkey. She is the author of Happy Campers. She has owned and run a summer camp for like 30 years. And so she's going to talk about how to keep positive, how to stay, reasonably happy during this time. And that'll be Wednesday. So if Andy was the 5th, I think it's going to be the 5th, actually. Audrey will be the 7th. Of April. So you can look forward to those for next week. And I'm excited because this presentation that I'm doing, this OKCon 2020 free virtual summit, which is at okcon.com. You can actually watch the presenters as they're coming out on that day, on their days, but then that'll always be there for you to watch. You can always go back and watch any of these conversations, okcon.com. I am excited because it's going on all throughout April and maybe beyond. We'll see, which means that every week that I get in here for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be able to say, this is who's coming up next week. And I'm excited about that too. Okay, so just before we finish up, if you would like to become a member of the Ninja Parenting community, I'm trying to make it really easy for you to do so. I'm offering the friends and family membership rate to anyone who would like to join. We have had some people join and at this rate, and I'm just so glad because I want to be a help for you. So what friends and family, the membership rate friends and family means is this: you pay $1 for your entire first month, and then you get 25% off every month that you're in the community thereafter. Off the standard membership rate. So please take advantage of that. If we can be helpful in any way, we do live weekly members only calls where we're checking in with each other. We're making sure, and it's a Zoom call. So we get to see other faces, which is very, very fun and very cool. We get to see our members and our friends' faces. We've got things, I've got a whole coronavirus resources section in there. We're doing these weekly intention posts where we can post about something positive. We can post about what we want to do that is positive this week. And it can be the smallest things. I mean, it can be so small, but those are the things that are going to keep us going. So, earlier this week, I talked about my goal was to get my child breakfast every day this week, to make sure that he had something to eat. And on Monday, that meant I gave him, in addition to strawberries and some tea, I gave him chocolate cake because that's what we had. And I wanted him to have a good breakfast. Not a healthy, particularly breakfast, but a good breakfast. I wanted him to feel loved and supported by his mom. So that was a small goal that I had that I was able to fulfill. That's why I did the 3 main meals. And I wanted to make sure that they were from scratch. We could eat from them the rest of the week. It meant less takeout, actually no takeout this week. We've not done takeout yet during the pandemic, but I know we want to because we want to support people. So hopefully maybe that'll be one of my attentions next week. Anyway, friends and family membership, ongoing. It's $1 for your whole first month. It contains so many good and valuable supportive things for you if you need that extra help during this time. Go to WeTurnedOutOK.com/join-NPC. And I'm gonna put the links for that in here as well. Let's see if I can do that. Who knows what I'll be able to do. And thank you for your patience while I do this. There we go. I'm just gonna copy it, and I'm gonna come back over here, and I'm gonna paste it. There we go. We're gonna paste this. Lovely. Okay, sweet. I will be back here on Monday for the weekly intention video that I am doing every Monday. I'm going to try and let everybody, if you're in the email news group, I'm going to try and let you know about that before I do it so that you can be here live. And I'm going to keep doing this on Friday where I let you know in our newsletter group. I'm going to let you know before I go live so that you can be here if you want to be here, because I think the more we can see friends and talk with people, the better. So hope that you have a good weekend. Hope that you have a good week next week. I am here for you, and I'm really glad that you are here with me, because I think that's how we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it together, and that's what this means. We're just going to keep on moving forward, and we're going to do it together. All right. Cheers. Have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you next week. All right. Bye. And if you're a Ninja parent, I will see you in the community. Bye.